With that, I'll turn it over to you, Mr. Sablan, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Now, thank you, Dr. Luria. You're so sweet. I appreciate it. I do need to. I have a hearing on hidden labor. I'm not going to criticize the VA. I mean, it is true that it's a new leadership just month into the term. But I agree with Dr. Elliott that I have seen that, heard that over and over and over again, and yet the problem persists. I'll give one example. In my district, where we have an admin staff, I'm also a nurse assigned to the contracted doctor. It took a year to fill another position. And when that position was finally filled, the person who was hired had to resign because he was sick, only to find out that that person was hired from another office within the VA. And so I have my own suspicion that they knew someone was sick and they wanted to get rid of that person and send them out to the farthest place you can be from the mainland. But that's, we look forward to progress, so we'll go ahead and pass that. But you see, Dr. Elliott, again, thank you for your participation in today's hearing. And you spoke about the implementation of VA policies at the facilities level and how there are times when you and your colleagues can work together to make change and see progress. But far too often we hear wonderful talk from VA headquarters but fail to see grand ideas become reality on the ground. I've seen that talk myself. So what do you see as the reasons for the disconnect between headquarters and the facilities in implementing VA policies? And also, what were the factors or conditions that led to those instances when you and your colleagues were successful at implementing the change that was necessary?
Thank you very much for that those questions. As far as the disconnect, and I'm hoping that I'm answering everything that you're asking. As far as the disconnect, a lot of times there really isn't a disconnect from central office to the visit to the local level. Let's go back and think about it. We've had years and years of anti-employee, anti-union animus. Those people still work in the department. Within the last 4 years, more people were brought in. And those people have those same sorts of ideas. And despite the fact that our president and our secretary, their heart is really in making change, there is resistance there that we see from central office to the VISN down to the facilities. There have been times when we have made positive gains. Sometimes it's been something that management really wants to do to help the employee, but that's not often the case. Many times, sometimes it just takes a long time to get things processed through. But oftentimes, if there's something that management really wants to get done, and they'll come to us and they'll work with us because they need to check off their box. I want to see a real vigorous, real relationship, a real partnership between the staff, between the unions, between HR, between management, and so forth. I will say that now with the WMC that we have and everything is just decentralized all over the nation, to me, that has not helped us.
Okay.
We know who is involved.
Okay, so let me ask Mr. Johnson. Let me ask. You just heard Dr. Elliott said what the relationship that needs to be established. Can we get that done?
Absolutely. I believe we all want the same thing. And as I heard Dr. Elliott speak, I agree. There has to be this unity of one because we're one VA focused on serving our veterans. And I do want to pull in all stakeholders to do this. So yes, I do believe this needs to happen and it will get done.
Okay, that's what I wanted to hear is it will get done. I think it's necessary. And this is not the VA alone. This is throughout the, the whole federal government. There needs to get these things. Mr. Chairman, I thank you for this. I need to run, but Dr. Luria, thank you also very much for the favor. I appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Sablan. And with that, I'll turn things over to Ms. Luria for 5 minutes.